Welcome, everyone, to episode 404 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pantelleresco. I write stuff and podcasts too. A lot to talk about today. This is a bit of an unexpected episode for me. I didn't realize that Melissa Mary Duncan was a two-parter in disguise, so that's what we're doing. In fact, we're just going to get into the conversation. I will talk to you guys afterwards, all right?
This episode of Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint supports creators by creators. Whether you are writing a book or creating a video game, Indie Imprint works with its clients to produce, edit, and present their projects to the world. For more information, check out their website at www.indieimprint.com.
So I love this work.
Yeah, I do.
That's Elizabeth Belcher.
No, that one's really good.
Isn't that great?
That one's really good.
She's a mom. She just put herself with Emily Carr, and I followed her on Instagram, and she put a post out, and
I like that one.
it's her as well.
Yeah,
That's
that
Elizabeth
one's
as well.
really,
Isn't
really
that wonderful?
That is a heck of a take. That's Red Riding Hood. That's actually what it feels like.
Yeah, isn't that great? I just
Yeah.
with the eyes and the trees
But
and her scarlet red dress and her flowing black hair.
It's
not saccharine at all.
Well, no, it
Has a real honesty and spookiness.
No, and the reason why it's the fact is, Red Riding Hood is the colors are very, very primary.
Yeah.
Everything else
Is very muted and natural, woody colors.
She does a really good job of show and tell.
And those glowing, slightly pale, goldy green eyes with a hint of red in the corners. Yeah, wonderfully malevolent.
Well, yeah, no, but also
But wonderfully malevolent.
really beautiful.
But she also does beautiful work. She told me she was working on a graphic novel of Beauty and the Beast, and I think this is one of
that's really
imagery from that kind of, and it's just her work has great depth and wonderful clean graphic style.
I watched a podcast with Jocko Willink and talk about. I like Jocko.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts is actually this story. They talk about the story. So, what is a good person? And they actually debated this. And then one of the things, and they said actually Beauty and the Beast. Think about this. This is the actual interesting role model. Why does Beauty choose Beast? Think about that, right? Really think about that. The Beast, it's because the Beast he has all these dark qualities to him, but he masters his dark side.
And his actions.
Yeah. The thing is, and actually going one step further, what makes a good man? I think terrible thoughts all the time. And I'm being very honest when I say...
Doesn't everyone?
Everybody does, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm so mad at that person, I could just...
Absolutely. I think terrible things sometimes.
That's right. But if you have...
And I'm honest about what I think. What makes me a good person, quote unquote, is I master those emotions. I discipline those emotions. And the fact is, I don't want a docile, domesticated...
Hello.
Hi, Zeb.
See that woman in the construction jacket?
No, I don't.
She was shouting at me across the street.
Oh, I am sorry.
Oh, she needs to take her meds.
Yeah, some people do.
Some people do.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Zeb. How are you doing today? How did it go yesterday?
Intense.
Intense?
You know how I met with a social worker regarding my birth family.
Josh, nice to meet you, man.
Josh.
Zeph. Not to get too intense without giving you my name first.
No, that's okay. You like it. It's all good.
But, you know how I always have something to say?
Yes.
I was at a loss for words.
Oh, my heart.
And I was like very anxious, very scared. Had a scared look on my face. And I suppose, it's like, I've wanted it for so long,
Yes.
and it's always been an idea
Yes.
I thought I would like. But then once you actually sit down with the social worker, it's like, it's so scary.
It's becoming real.
It's real.
Yeah.
You're succeeding. It's a normal reaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to put a damper on your birthday.
That's okay. It's not a damper.
Not a damper.
No, because you're honest. And
Well,
reference.
I'm just
Okay.
scanning through it, but yeah.
Never be sorry for being genuine.
What
dude.
this was referring
You'll go a lot farther just being you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, his dad is designed stereotypes and has been doing readings for us as well.
Oh, cool.
It's coming up this week.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's coming up. His first one's coming up this week.
Yeah, I won't be. I still got to deal with my Sparkle Month for another day job
Oh, okay.
for another few weeks.
Another few weeks. You're not the only creative person I know who's actually ditching the day job to try really hard in their heart vocation.
Yeah. Oh no! I think every creative, if they're serious about this, has to try it at least once.
So do I.
Yeah,
Yeah.
has to try it at least. I actually asked somebody, "Am I crazy?" And he goes, "Yeah, but you're also being very, very logical."
Yes.
Yeah, you're being very logical. You have to try this. If you don't, you'll always wonder, and nothing will ever change. And
Yeah.
that's right. And no matter what, something will change. Going back to what I was saying earlier, dangerous people. We don't want domesticated, docile people. We want dangerous people. And what I mean by that is people that can think for themselves, are independent, understand who they are, can let themselves feel anything, and can think those dark things as necessary because you can survive. You don't want, if I have a docile person may never think these terrible things, but in a moment of fear will stab you in the back.
I don't necessarily think they'll stab you in the back, but it really, in a moment of fear, they really have to suddenly confront something within themselves that may come out of the box as a complete and utter shock.
Yeah.
And they're more likely to actually make poor decisions.
Yes, yeah, that's fair. No, that's fair. But I really love the parallel because it makes a lot of sense when you put it in that light.
I come from a long line of dangerous women.
Yes.
Yeah, I never really got to spend much time with my grandmother. My mother told me that she was one of the suffragettes that was arrested in England trying to get the vote for women, and I remember meeting her when she was in her 90s. And we had someone over, and this person was very ageist, and she looked at my and she kept talking, and this was a bright as a penny woman, and a little tiny thing. And when the lady went home, my grandmother said, "Well, thank God she's gone, and I can be me." She was just, it's just we come from a long line. My mother was a dangerous woman to know, and I'm a dangerous woman to know too.
And are your daughters as dangerous as you?
Yes, they are, and in our own interesting ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
Yep.
That's the way it should be.
We're all mama bears.
Yeah. Now you just reminded me of somebody else I know. So I know that there's this is why we're talking about here about Vancouver being like it's a mix. It's not as artistically freeing in one sense like Calgary is. On the flip side, it kind of is too, because you get these opportunities. Like I interviewed she's now 17-year-old pop singer. She calls her mom Mama Bear. She really is a Mama Bear. That's their affection for each other.
Yes.
And so I don't know who leads. I don't know who leads who sometimes with those two. I actually most of the time I think it's a 17-year-old, but every once in a while.
Mama Bear.
Yeah. Oh no, that's what she's there for.
That's right.
That's what she's there for. And they're a good team. So when you said that, I thought of them. So I was just like, but anyway, yeah. Like I said, that's where I said that's why I came out here. It's different and it's a challenge and I'm excited.
Yeah. Yes. Life should continue to be full of challenges for you, or you're ending it prematurely. So this is the work of an artist named Fauna Stock. Now she's been nominated several times for an Aurora Award, and she's also an Aurora Award winner. And she does these wonderfully happy little sculptures. She calls them rivets of robots. We got several throughout the store. These are fairy bugs she did for us. But she also does incredibly beautiful two-dimensional illustrations. And I'll show you some in a minute. They're just glorious. Very, very...
is not something that
she's got a wonderfully quirky sense of humor.
I think think I would enjoy her.
Yeah, so these are, and this bookshelf is here primarily because these are books that were recommended to us and illustrators that our artists love. So,
Terry Winlang kind of stuff.
Terry Winland kind of stuff. We've got some interesting tarot decks by Monarch Brian the Frouds, Dark Crystal, Alan Lee, Arabian Nights translated by Richard Burton.
That's awesome. No, I'm a big fan of this comic book company. They do really, really good.
Yes, they do beautiful comic books.
Yes, they do. Archaea, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, who are very
they're just like drool worthy.
Secret History is one of my favorite designs. Period. And my buddy of mine actually is.
Actually, that was the first comic type book like that I ever bought for myself, which is really interesting that you mentioned that one.
Yeah.
And we have children's books because I love children's books.
Underrated. Emily the Strange.
Emily the Strange. Yes, it's such fun. This is a lovely book too. The girl who
have not read that one.
Oh, it's lovely.
I've read this one.
The Thief Lord is fun.
Yes. No, I actually think Cornelia Funk is probably one of the most consistent young adult writers out there. She does a lot of really good stuff. I feel her great work has not come out yet, but I do think she's really, really, really good.
Yeah.
Tale of Desperate is amazing.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
Just love them. So you can see the kind of thing that we have here. We're also bringing in more fairy books, more traditional fairy books. Some of the Andrew Lang and the really old ones.
You will like it when I actually print out my version of Alice in Wonderland. It's Alice in Wonderland is Greek mythology.
Oh, that's
Alice is Pandora.
Oh yes. Did you see the lovely Pandora print we have by Nancy Green?
No.
I'll show it to you in a second. It's just glorious.
Yeah. We'll walk around.
Yeah, we're walking around the store. So that's Kelly. Kelly's a beautiful artist.
Is she local?
She's local. This is just a lovely, lovely book. This is called Half Soul, and this is part 1. Part 2 is coming out. She's working on it now. But it's a very, very interesting read. The chapter, Case 1, The False Idol.
Kelly Shen, okay.
Yeah, just a lovely woman, really wonderfully talented, and it's just a beautiful graphic novel. And then we've got the work of Carolyn Bruce, who actually is quite internationally known. And we also have the work of Wicked Avery, Monica Sue. These are great. I mean, if you need a pair of horns, we've got the greatest horns here. And
I have a friend in Calgary who would love this store.
Yeah, and she makes a lot of paper mache recycled, so I really like that. If you notice, we don't have a lot of things in here that are made of plastic or resin. We really quite seriously jury that because I'm actually quite anal about the environment.
Yeah,
which is one of the reasons why I like fairy stories, because I like that whole mythology and Arthur and Gawain and traditional Celtic tales, because they all do link into the earth. So we got everything from crazy T-balls for your choo-choo train loving relatives to hooty owls and wonderful dragons by really nice leather dragons, iridescent, beautifully painted. We even have dragon wings by this wonderful leather artist named Danielle Faquette. And she lives in deepest, darkest Surrey. And that's a Nancy Green behind. You see Melissa?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting take on her.
Yeah, she's a digital artist. She uses her own photographs and several of them, and then collages them together, and then also digitally paints to put in other objects as well. And they're seamless. And then we have some work by the great Tracy Ernst. She has a that's an Alice in Wonderland series with the rabbit and the mushrooms. She also has she does a whole line of jewelry to commemorate the suffragette struggle. So it's all sort of Edwardian and Victorian themed, and it's with the colors of the Canadian and British suffragettes.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. We have fantasy here, but we also have some people who do straight up historic reenactment work.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. One of my favorite books of all time. That one.
Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Oh,
that's one of my favorite books of all time.
It's so drool-worthy. I love it. It's one of the ones that since I read it, I read it every year. Because
mine is.
I love the language.
Mine's currently in storage.
Oh, I am so sorry.
No, don't be. I tell you, I came out here. I had to choose. I had to make something very hard.
Oh, it is. I moved to England and back, so I understand those kinds of cuts.
No. So where some people might hate me and / love me is one of the people, like, I feel it was good because I think I sometimes authors, for the time being, like the voice no longer reaches you the same way, and for me that was Charles Dillon. I hit that point with him where it's just like, because I've read so many of his stories.
I love Dillon too.
Dillon is amazing.
But I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, there's a point with him where you realize that there's. I think my biggest fear as a writer, or I think the biggest fear artists should have, is when when I feel like I'm saying the exact same thing over and over and over again. And while I love the cool thing about Dillon, and I met him in person.
So have I.
Right? He carries his world with him. You can see it when he
lives his world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his wife, and it's so authentic.
Yeah. The only thing that's interesting, I never quite saw that quite so much. He's the only guy I've ever felt like you need just to gently poke him to remind him he's still in this world every so often, because I
actually think he's quite a pragmatic businessman. Actually.
No. He is. I'm not even like no. But there's that little part of him that I feel is just.
I think that's very much his generation and my generation.
Yeah.
And that was the world in which we came from.
No, it's fair. That's fair. There's a story he wrote about this person living in two worlds. So like that is the impression.
Yes.
That's the impression I have of him. And like every once in a while, I feel like when I was talking to him, there's not that he wasn't focused or attentive, but he was also like living in two worlds. Maybe someday I'll ask him, it's like, what's the world in your head? I'm curious. I see it.
Yeah, people ask me that all the time.
Yeah. Because it's you can see it with him, and again, not as a criticism, just that's just who he is.
It's very much, I think we were born in a golden time, and I really grieve. I grieve for my grandchildren because I think that golden time is gone. I grieve for people. I grieve for my children who are older than my grandchildren because they got the tail end taste of that, but the world around them has changed so much that it's a bit of ashes in their mouth. It's not that my children aren't happy, but I do grieve for their generation.
So can I offer a bit of a small comfort for you?
Oh, I'll take it. Yes.
For the new to come, the old must pass.
Yes.
The golden era had to go for another era to come. And right now, what we're going through right now is the tear down of that whole era, and the treasures are left behind. But what will come from it will be better than what was there before. That's very true. It's sort of like it's like when Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings says, nobody likes the time they're going through. Basically, I'm terrible at quoting. But he talks about that issue about people who have to go through hard times wish they weren't there. Oh, absolutely, and that's it. And that's it. But the thing is,
and that's what I feel for them too.
Yeah. You're like my father's still younger than you, and the thing is, he's from that golden era, golden time, and I'm born in the 80s. I caught the tiniest tail of it. Yes. I'm old enough to remember what that felt like.
Yeah.
And where it gives me strength is.
And it does give you strength.
Where it does give me strength is I recognize how I should be treated, and I refuse to. That's one of the reasons I'm walking away from the day job. Actually, I'm not a servant anymore.
Yes, and it also, because that's possible, that's a huge strength.
Yes.
That's a huge.
I don't have, again, in my own experiences in life and what my own adversities, what I've overcome. So the closest fairy tale I kind of embody is Green Lantern, the concept of the two.
Oh yes.
Right. I grew up reading Green Lantern, and because that was the hero I grew up with. So I do really very much. I'd be lying if I said the things of overcoming great fear, but also the fact that what you can imagine you can make real. Those things are very powerful within me. Yeah. Very, very much so. So that's going back to my own. That fairy tale I carry with me always. But some other fairy tales like Edgar Rice Burroughs I left behind, Ray Bradbury I left behind, and they're beautiful, and Charles Dillon as well. They're beautiful storytellers, each and every one of them. But at some point, the voice doesn't have the same magic anymore.
Same resonance.
Yeah.
I love Dillon, and one of his most iconic and personal characters for me was that character of Julie Coppercorn.
I loved it. I actually Widdershins. That was
Widdershins.
I loved that, how that whole arc was tied together. Actually my favorite story of my two favorites are his last two. The Onion Girl.
Yeah, that was just going to say the Onion Girl.
The Onion Girl. No, I thought that was good because she's always hot. Like he starts really peeling back the layers there. But the other one I really enjoyed is Subterranean. It was originally published in Subterranean Press.
Hello, how are you doing? Yeah, thank you very much.
How you doing?
Hey, not bad. Yourself?
My usual bits of chaos and mayhem.
So,
I've interviewed her for the podcast.
oh, I see. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm being interviewed in a podcast law.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's great. I was going to say, one of the things I like about Jilly's, I could really relate to her as a child who recovered from being paralyzed.
Yes.
Yes. So it's almost like she lived her life backwards to me. It's very. I know that's very simplistic, but yes, that's yeah.
You know what? I like, and honestly, one of my favorite. Although I don't know if heroine's the right word, although I think there's a good case for it. She's one of my favorite characters ever because I think he needed to walk away from Newford after he finished her story because in a lot of ways Newford was as much about her as it was about the world. I'm curious what he's going to do when he goes back to it because he will inevitably go back to Newford.
Yeah, I love Newford.
Yeah, he will inevitably go back.
One of the nicest compliments we've had in our shop is it's just like walking into a Charles DeLint novel.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I'm not in a good way. It's there's a magic here, and you've done really good with that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So these shelves are our Canadian authors.
Yes.
We got a nice mix of new and used. We are always trying to grow them. We like to actually know the authors we bring in and have kind of a relationship with them.
I'm a big fan of Jam Bundles personally.
Yeah.
She's an amazing woman.
She's an amazing. That's me on the cover. That's my work. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's yeah.
She's such a wonderful woman. She's so creative and nurturing of others that actually makes me blush.
She's secretly probably one of the toughest women too. She's just
Quiet.
She's quiet, but she's super strong.
There's great grace in her.
Yeah, she's super strong.
And, I think, in an older meaning of the word. Yeah.
No, the biggest impression when I met her, again, she's just not she does a lot of amazing things, but she's actually, I think the exact word is, she's incredibly gentle, and I think unlike a lot of people that would be like, oh no, she's just incredibly gentle. Yeah. She's incredibly and she's incredibly driven. She just quietly just goes about her thing and doesn't
gets her done.
Yeah, that's
gets
it.
Her done.
And that's it.
And she's generous.
Yeah. Oh no,
yeah.
super generous. Actually, I'm gonna.
She's great generous. That's one of our Lisa Lindsay Rose. She was
wrestling fan.
Yeah, this is her work too. This beautiful acrylic.
Wow.
So she did that's a really fun novel, The Rise of the White Phoenix, and this is a great acrylic painting.
So I'm going to, ladies and gentlemen, so Rise of the White Phoenix is a woman in a lucha libre mask, right? That's lucha libre mask. It is, if you've ever seen lucha libre in Mexico, it is the same kind of color and character. And then
she nailed it.
She nailed it perfectly. And then over here, you have this incredibly, almost classical painting.
Vibrant, it glows.
Yeah, it does.
Literally glows.
Yes, yeah. Right. And it's, I want that. I'd have to keep working at the day job for a little while longer to get that.
But we do have prints.
Yeah. It's like, I want that, but yeah. No, that is amazing. And that is, I want to meet her.
Oh, she's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you need to meet Lindsay's great. That's more of that hack, Melissa Mary Duncan. Yeah, that's about the danger of reading stories out loud to others.
You're no hack. You're no hack.
That's about the danger of reading stories out loud.
So next time I come, when I go to my storage locker at the pulpit, because I have that.
Oh, the new one's coming out.
I know. Yeah. I'm gonna have to get you to face it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You want a nice mustache on the heroine? Yeah.
So Tanya, so I had to go to face my. So I bought this and go to face it. So
yes.
So she drew this like incredible interior.
Yeah.
And
she's lovely.
No, Tanya's great.
Yeah, another one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just one of those situations where.
everywhere.
See, I got no problem building anybody up. It's easy for me. So, but no, like you have a very, very, very cool shot. Like you really, really do. It's.
But you need to separate
you are.
from the whole.
It's a cool place. Again, Janice Murphy and her wonderful witch hats. And this artist, this is a lovely lady, and I actually met her by accident. Her name's Cheryl Webster. I'm holding a freaky fairy.
Freaky fairy or freaky fairies?
Yes.
So what's a freaky fairy?
A freaky fairy is there's sort of these hospital rejects creatures with stitching on their faces, and I love his embroidered stippled beard. Hilarious. They have crooked eyeballs, and their limbs are sometimes different lengths, and they definitely have a grungy character. But I actually met her in a lineup at Fabricland, and there was an altercation behind the cash counter, and so the two of the sales clerks, one was dealing with the completely over the top crazy woman, and the other one was sort of trying to keep the rest of us from leaving. She opened her bag, and out came all these incredible characters, these just beautifully wonderful, exotic, graphic creatures. And I said, I want you in my shop.
I want you in my shop.
And she came in, and she also did the Victorian-esque circus people that we have hanging from the
I
ceiling.
see that.
Yeah.
Is there a story for the trapeze circus people, or
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm sure if we sat down and had a cup of tea with her, there would be.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's funny when you make things. I'm working on a book that's going to introduce. I didn't realize when I started drawing all these things inspired by traditional fairy lore, I didn't realize I would create a world simply by body of work. And as I do more and more of them, I said to my darling husband, I'm working on this. And, now I know how they get married, why they do this, because those stories evolve as you create the creatures. It's really funny.
Yeah,
so and a great deal of fun. And so I'm putting together a little book which introduces people to the world of my craziness. This will be called Elfina, which is the Anglo-Saxon for nymph, spirit, or fairy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I am familiar with that because I read The Wheel of Time, and I loved his versions. I loved his versions of that. Also, it definitely inspired. So going back to my Alice in Wonderland story, I actually accidentally invented a board game with it too.
How cool!
It's a variation of Snakes and Ladders. So the objective is because it's Greek myth, Kronos is the last piece of the board. You're racing the queen to get to the Kronos. If the queen gets there, she wins. And the queen is not a very good person in this story. She's also another classic Greek character, but I'm not going to give that away.
Okay.
So you have a choice between Alice, the Cheshire Cat, and Medusa. And you get to go. So the rule is, whenever you roll a 7, instead of like a traditional side where the Snakes and Ladders are stuck on the board, the portals move. And here's the thing. The monsters on the board and your characters all can move according to the portals. So you can end up very high, but then with a 7, you go all
the way down to the bottom.
It creates a neat form of chaos, because what happens is the queen can still get sucked into these portals too. So she doesn't deal with any monsters. You do, but she doesn't. But she can still get sucked in by portals. So it's interesting. So sometimes Queen will be up at like space 91 of 100, right? Or the next stage it'll be like down, right? And that's like Wheel of Time definitely inspired the Snakes and Ladders being with the Fae, and it's like So anyway, we all have our own crazy. They're not do that.
That's his hides are dirty teacups.
You have to put them somewhere.
That's right. So we hid them underneath the print. So this is we have the work of Kylie West, and also more of Danielle Paquette. Wonderful animal mouse. I love how great design work on this. There's a handbag for your power suit with dragons on it.
Nice.
Yeah. And then more of the wonderful Tracy Ernst, and also some leatherwork by Sheila Monroe from Dropping Form Designs, who's in Deepest Darkest. I keep using that term. Today I seem to be stuck on it. She lives in Kamloops.
I have no opinion on
And,
that level.
I love
That's
her
fine.
work.
I haven't seen anything that.
Any opinion?
What else we got? Oh, that's one of mine. That's the Keeper of Things Best Left Unmentioned. He's a fairy,
Thanks for stopping by.
a fairy bureaucrat. If you notice the cranes they have.
So do you want to hear my interpretation of this?
Yes,
guys?
I'd love to.
So, based on how vacant his eyes seem to be in the moment, I actually thought he was a security guard.
Oh yes, I can see that. Yeah, he's a bureaucrat.
He's got kind of a vacant stare,
Or she.
That's fair. To be fair, to be totally fair.
It's deliberately ambiguous.
Yeah. And so the paper cranes and stuff like that, I always thought maybe they were just warnings from everybody else. So I just practical joke this individual
Well, that's how he's trying to maintain his sanity.
Oh, okay.
Try to find inner peace.
Because he just seems like he just seems like honestly a sucker.
He's just been used up. You know, Can you imagine? Fairies live for a really long time.
Yeah.
So eternity after eternity, keeping secrets of the fairy courts, I think would be just wear you right out.
I think I just actually, you know what I do? I turn myself into a secret, and then I disappear, and then I probably just get drunk for a while.
Yeah, the drunk is good. So he's got a necklace of like a sheriff's necklace.
I like that.
Cool. That's the Harlequin fairy.
That's very trickstery. That's
he's very trickstery. Yeah, you don't know what he's up to.
Yeah, just the way he carries himself. Like you're up to something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether I like it or I don't. I kind of like your moxie though. So I mean, I get the way that.
Well, he's definitely someone you don't want to mess with.
No, I didn't. Yeah. I didn't say mess with.
No. If he's got an agenda, you best get out of the agenda's way.
Yeah. Am I in the way? No. Excellent.
And this
trouble. She's trouble.
She's trouble?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she definitely is. She's the queen of the fairy court.
Yeah.
She's got to be trouble.
Oh, absolutely, total trouble.
Yeah.
Total, you cross that line, you never go back.
No, never go back.
Yeah.
This one is busy distilling spirits.
Yeah, of course.
Curious.
There's no.
That's actually literally that's the emotion I see in there. Curious. Someone kind of looks at the world and wonder always.
Yes, actually, the lady from whom it's inspired.
Yeah.
Frequently does.
Yeah. And that's a great way to look at the world. Because if you
she's quite an amazing person.
Yeah.
And a wonderful creative.
Yeah. If you can look at the world and turns it, it's magical. It never is an unhappy place ever.
Yeah.
Right. But then I think the challenge.
Well, it can be unhappy, but it's in its time, and it's going to end.
Yes.
Which is again the strength of fairy stories. So we have wonderful cards by all of our artists. This is a Lee Shell.
Yeah.
She lives in Maple Ridge, and I just love her work. It's so classic. I mean, it's so classic fairy tale from 1920s kind of vibe to it. It also reminds me a lot of.
We're in an environment where people seem to be.
Of the illustrator Brown from the States, and I just think her work is, the fox with the foxglove bouquet behind his back, and the 17th century doublet and coat with the turn-back lapels and the brass buttons.
Anamorphic stories have always been kind of a soft spot for her.
Yeah, me too. Which is why I love the Redwall series.
So for me, I'm not gonna lie, it was the Disney Robin Hood.
Oh yes, well that was a sharp one. That was a great one.
So I'll give you a fun story. So my dad used to be able to remember the march at the very beginning?
Yeah.
He markized the whole thing, and at 6 years old, I almost was able to do it too.
Oh, lovely.
So whenever I see a fox and something like this, I cannot help it. I think of Robin Hood.
I don't blame you. Yeah. He comes to me too as well. Yeah.
I mean, it's me, and I'm totally like I have my biases, but there are worse biases to have. Although if I had to pick one of these, that one's my favorite because I feel there's a certain.
There's a real story to that.
No, there's a real story to that. It's just
little notebook so that
in all my travels, in every single one of my travels, what I have found is when you get past all the bullshit at the end of the day, we all just kind of want to get along.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. We're all here. We're here.
So
We're passive.
you got the crow and the fox, and the crow is just strumming a very interesting stringed instrument,
And he's
the
just
fox
chilling.
is smoking his pipe, and we're all sitting around a glowing fire in the woods. It's lovely.
And you know what? When you get right down to it,
People do these Kickstarter
That's all most
things,
people
sometimes
want.
I wonder if they'll
Yeah.
when you get right down to it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's
Right.
I also like her bear on an adventure.
yeah.
So that's Lee Shell. She's marvelous. This is a very young lady. Her name is Ashley Rose, and she just does every piece she does is better and better. She has a wonderful sense of imagination, and this is her little parliament of toads being addressed by a mouse in a robe.
I actually thought the mouse was conducting them, and they were actually singing.
Going to sing?
Yeah.
Yes, you can see. Yeah, very much that.
So there's a video game called Legend of Zelda. There's actually there's Ocarina of Time. There's a fun little side reading you can take, and in that side reading there's all these little mini games, and one of them is about making the frogs sing.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, it's actually so Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is one of my all-time favorite games, and even though for its time it was definitely a long game. It's a short game now, but it's still one of the most fun rides I ever go on. So when I think of that, it's like dee dee dee. It's interesting how different stories seem to connect. That is a very powerful piece.
This is by Nancy Green, and you were talking about Pandora.
Yeah,
This is her Pandora.
I like it.
She's a wonderful digital artist.
So to finish my story,
Yeah.
when Alice opens the box, a certain Cheshire visitor goes in her head.
Oh, how interesting.
And also a Greek myth. I forget who the Cheshire cat would be in Greek mythology. I'll give it to you.
Oh,
You want to know who it is?
yes.
Discord.
Oh, of course. That's a really good casting.
Yeah, because what the Discord do, just watch and look at what the cat does for most of the time. He
He just sits and watches and makes.
I'll let you figure out who Kronos is.
Retail in
I'm no good at guessing.
Mad Hatter. He just kills time.
Oh God, just kills time. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes. Alice's Pandora. The thing they have the most in common is curiosity. They couldn't help it.
They can't help themselves.
They just can't.
No, they can't.
You're right. And the thing is, if you sit both of them, now, a friend of mine used to say Pandora drives men mad. On my story, when she opens the box, the Kingdom of Wonderland scatters across the multiverse, and it drives everything crazy.
But I know it's difficult.
So and that was by accident, and I just came up with that. So it was just like,
Yeah, that's a good.
yeah. So they go together surprisingly well. I may have to get.
It is beautiful.
Yes.
It is. It really is spectacular.
Yeah.
Piece.
Yeah.
And that's one of hers too. That's Something Wicked.
That feels very Bradbury.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
Very Bradbury.
Very.
She's a Bradbury fan. I wouldn't be surprised if
Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You're of an age.
Yeah,
where,
she's just a wonderful, wonderful.
Very, very.
Stories about people
So,
who are
you and me have something in common, I realized. We both promote other people's stuff. You've been doing it all podcast. You've been quietly promoting everybody else around you. Right? I do the same thing. I interview people all the time. We have that in common.
No.
Oh.
I noticed that. Yeah, right. So, this is the question, and we've gone quite a ways, as you can see.
Oh, I am sorry.
No,
I keep gabbing.
No, there's nothing wrong.
You can cut lots of it out.
I'm not going to cut anything.
Oh, stars.
Why would I do that? Because
Be more succinct in the end if you.
but why?
Well,
Okay.
You all right? No. Let's go back. Let's actually medicine. This is who you are. Why would I stifle who you are in any way, shape, or form? You are an art fan. You believe in your story. You believe in the people that are here.
I do. I think they're all so talented.
And the thing is, so
drawing.
why would I get in the way of it? This goes back to something I like I said at the very beginning. We talked about at the very beginning, getting out of your own way. So here's the thing. You do an amazing job.
It's well,
You believe in the store.
can't imagine.
This
I
is
was
as much you. This is a store out of
Manual.
Newford, kind of,
Manual.
sort of. This is a store out of your
That
head
would
and your
work.
heart, your husband's head and your heart. You guys built this.
But it's every artist.
Yeah, that's yes.
No,
But every art, but it goes both ways.
I've just moved
They
like,
believe
as
in
I've,
you
like, moved
as
out
much
of
as you
the-
believe in them. They would not be here if it wasn't for the person I'm talking to.
Oh, I think they would have. I think it was the whole group of us who started it in the beginning, who had connections with others and introduced and made those bonds of trust.
yeah.
And I think we were. The store was incredibly lucky to have started with the people it started with, and that was Donald and Tracy Ernst and Janice Murphy and me. I think we were lucky.
Yeah, and right place, right time,
Yeah.
right people. But in the end, luck or not, this is yours, and
It's true.
you've done an amazing job.
Well, I think everybody does an amazing job, and it just comes together. We just get to orchestrate it. It's sort of like sitting down with all these incredibly talented musicians, and then having a symphony played.
So
You can't conduct the symphony if you don't have the great musicians.
So once upon a time at When Worlds Collide, I found myself sitting with Vonda Lee, Adam Dries, and a guy by the name of Del Suelo, and I was wondering what the hell I was doing here. And I realized, again, it's one of those like self-realizations.
It's tricky, but like.
You're here because for whatever reason, in this place, in this time, there's a quality you possess, right? That lets you put that these people are willing to at least trust you to be here. And I feel the same thing here. Yes, you're an orchestra. Yes, there's so much beautiful stuff here that was created, had nothing to do with you. But the fact of the matter is, they're here. They trust you. This is a place they feel comfortable showing their art for, and that is a combination of you and your partner in crime, and take the compliment because it's actually
I'm blushing,
Yes.
which you can't see.
yeah. Take the compliment. I'm not saying again. You didn't make the art, but the fact is they trust you enough for it to be displayed here.
Yeah,
That's
that's actually it's when I come in every day. It's very touching.
yeah.
It's very touching when they, for instance, when we were talking with Graham earlier, and I said, "No, your book cover's not for his little chat book that he has, which is a great story and it's so funny."
Graham is a sweet man. He undervalued. He actually, do you know what he reminds me? And Graham, if you're listening to this, you're going to probably blush. He reminds me of a very old knight from an old kingdom from a long.
He's very much of that source.
Yeah.
You know he's also historically an actor.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
That's how Graham and I first met, because I'm also a historically an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a sweet guy. I think in his quiet moments, there's that little doubt that he belongs. And the truth of the matter is, he's a great writer. He's a sweet man, and a lot of people like him for just being who he is.
He's an amazing person.
He is. He really is. And he forgets that.
And he makes the world a better place. He makes the world a better place with his stories.
Yeah.
He makes the world a better place with his everyday actions.
He is a treasure that does not realize his worth.
Yes, and he's also a very brilliant mind. He's a chemist.
I know. Oh, I know. When we talked about the philosopher's stone.
Yeah. Very, very brilliant man.
Yeah. No, he really is. And I was really so we had that our conversation in Canyon when I first came here a long time ago. When I interview him again, and I'm going to do this at some point this year, I'm going to go. Let's go to Lynn Canyon and do it again.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
I'm glad you're interviewing him again. He's wonderful.
No, he knows he has an open door anytime he wants.
Oh, super.
Yeah, anytime he wants.
Very
I'm gonna push the issue because I get the feeling that he won't.
No, he won't.
He won't.
He's far too modest.
And the thing is, I would tell him, it's like, don't. That's going to get difficult because I know I'm getting busier, and
that's good. Yay!
No, that's a great problem.
Yeah.
That's
a bit like my problem some days.
Yeah. But if he's too modest, eventually I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yes, you have to remember with him.
Yeah.
And he's worth it every time, though.
No, I know. There are a couple people like that, and there's a buddy in Calgary. But for me, it's interesting, like personal philosophy, I got to a point where I've stopped chasing people because I can't. As much as I want to, there's a really,
I hear you.
There's a really tricky balance with that, and I realize it's like all I can do is keep the door open at the end of the day, and they have to make the choice to walk through it. That doesn't mean I won't do it again.
No, I know.
But it does.
Yeah, well, you already said you were. He's very worth it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I will the next time I see him, and if you are listening to Instagram, it's okay to step up and speak out. And
Please?
please. There will come a point where I won't be able to hear you otherwise, right? But you got a very, very cool store all the way around, and I think we've done a really good job of talking about some of the things here.
Oh, great.
Right, so including the angel kitty and the angel mouse.
Angel kitty, yeah, that's our mascot.
Our mascot.
Yeah.
So
Our dreams can fly.
Yeah, well, dreams can definitely fly, and
And even if the dreams seem really fantastic, they can fly.
It's best you did not ask, actually.
I had so this is my last wonderful thought. I think we'll close the interview with this. I realized that there's no such thing as an unrealistic dream, and I realized this at a very young age. Actually, it doesn't really because the fact is somebody somewhere, when you look at the people doing the impossible things,
Yes.
somebody somewhere had to believe they could do it in order to do it.
Yes.
Right? They got these.
You just get the tentacle kick.
Opportunities sometimes do fall in your lap, but there's a caveat to this, and this is something a lot of people don't think about. Yeah, someone can get quote unquote lucky, but the truth of the matter is, if they didn't believe it was possible, they would never have taken advantage of the opportunity when it arose.
Yeah.
It's not about. I don't like. I have big dreams in terms of where I want to take the podcast, where I want to do my writing career, where I want to do why I'm here. I'm like I want to see if I can get into the movie industry. I'll work film crew, and I have all these crazy things I want to do, and I'm just gonna go.
Good. Go do them.
Yeah, so I'm just.
Plants, yes, they die.
Yeah.
I have the date in mind when I walk away from the date. I'm going to get started. Trust me, I have planned this. Right, but the thing of it is, right? I know going in that success isn't going to be my success. The secret to it, whether I succeed or I fail, is really going to come down to being in the right place at the right time, for the right opportunity, being smart enough to see it for what it is.
If you're gonna do this to us, then she admitted
it's not a hard process when you simplify it to that extent.
Thank you, ma'am.
But the thing is, I have to be open and I have to believe it's possible. If I don't, it doesn't matter. It can be right in my face. I have seen this with people. It's literally right in their face, and they will not. It's like, why?
Why didn't you go to the polls and vote?
Yeah.
Because
my dad's company.
Talk about castrating yourself. Like the opportunity is there. So far. Still, we have that opportunity. That's just a simple example of what you're saying.
Yeah, I know. There's opportunities every day, every moment, all the time to do something. Right? And it doesn't matter what your circumstances are. Right? Yeah, it might not be a big change right in that moment, but the thing is, there's always an opportunity every day to make a small little change.
Little baby steps.
Right? And sometimes the thing might seem crazy to other people, but it doesn't matter. It's not about what they think. You gotta live for yourself. And so you have to be willing to go and do those things on your own. And if you do, opportunities happen. I went to a magazine pitch. I met the guy at Beat Route Magazine. He didn't like my pitch, but he offered me something else I could write. Not only that, he also pointed me out to a radio station like you did earlier today. That I should go and talk because of what I do here. So since I made a conscious decision, shift away from day job, shift back to career focus now that I'm ready to move, I've noticed that things have started. I've also got the opportunity to interview a video game company this week. I had the opportunity to help some people with Kickstarters. And I just reached out. The next thing I know,
I wasn't a professional artist 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been drawing, and I've been putting things away. And being an artist got me jobs. Like photo retouching, when I was supporting my kids and had no income outside of what I could produce.
toys.
But about 8 years ago,
And,
my daughter, my eldest
then
daughter,
you,
and my husband said,
then you
"Why don't you
actually
put together a
generate
book
the
of your
3D
drawings?"
start with.
So I said, "Well, we can get it printed." My husband's an architect, so we can go to the printers and we can print it. I said, "Okay," and I can hand bind it. So we made 50 copies of this book. It was called "Faye, the Art of Melissa Mary Duncan," and my daughter did the
SketchUp
text,
is still,
and
is still free for
we
basic.
got an ISBN number, and we put the ISBN number in the thing. And I hand bound every copy, and I signed every copy, and I ornamented every copy with things hanging off it, feathers and beads and jewels and trinkets. And the book got nominated as best cover art and illustration that year in Canada. Holy Dinah, I almost died of shock.
3D rendering.
When you said, success can be, it was, and I've been, I don't think I'll ever win, but I've been nominated again since then. And when I
You will win eventually.
I hear young people talking about how they're too old. They're too old to, and most people are younger than me. But they're not. It's never too late.
Remarkably useful thing.
Journey. Look, Christopher Lee at 90 years old cut his first ever rock song. At 90 years old, he cut his first ever
I know,
rock song.
but yeah.
So think about that. So I look at, and also here, I think.
So take those opportunities, like you're saying, but you have to be aware that they can happen.
Yeah. Now that I always remember that my favorite example of a very elderly person succeeding. Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
He's actually the best example because he tried his whole life, and he's an example of perseverance.
Yes.
He's also an example of just saying, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. Fuck it. And that's really what it was. He got to the point at the end of his life. He's worked for a living. He's like, I tried everything I knew how to do, and I couldn't succeed. And then he goes, retire money. $75 was a lot of money at the time when he got it. He said, you know what? Fuck it. I can cook. So he started going door to door selling chicken. 3 years later, he was a billionaire.
Yeah, I now sell my work all around the world. I've been exhibited in Europe. I mean, I'm shocked.
Yeah, again, you gave yourself
papers came due.
Yes.
That's it.
Yep.
And that's the secret. So it's not about
how old you are. It's
Yeah.
not about your education.
no.
It's
And the thing is, anyone that would hold any of that stuff against you, they're the first people that were going to come to you later on when you succeed and go, please do something for me, and that's when you charge them to the room. That's I told you, I am a monster. my own kind of monster. But I mean, but the thing of it is, right? It's the secret is being smart enough to recognize what you have and what you can do with it. And if you're able to do that, again, the mileage varies for everybody. Like there's no guarantees, but the thing is,
if you don't try, that's the worst. That's so sad.
Yeah,
3D
absolutely.
Studio Max, which became something else.
We needed a place
Actually, it's weird because
for
Maya and
this
Max
kind of
have
imagination
both
that's
belonged
produced
to
here in Canada to come together locally, where we could get it in the Lower Mainland. We're a huge population base on the West Coast, and it seemed to me kind of crazy that there wasn't. I mean, there have been places that got close,
all the time.
Yeah,
but not as much original content as we have here.
Yo, you have way too much, and it's actually again from Calgary, from here. It's amazing how scattered it is here. It is like it's like a place to band together is like something like this is sorely needed. Right, because you need those places where at least a group of people can come together on some level. So, I think Miss Melissa,
We're at the end.
I think we have an interview. What do you think?
I think it probably, and it didn't hurt it a bit.
No, it was shocking.
For all that I was so nervous.
I don't get why people are so nervous with me.
Oh, just nervous anyway. Interviews can be scary. Just the whole concept. It's when you're not used to it.
So, but again, was it fun? Did you have
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I love talking about the people whose work is in here.
That's you and I have something in common.
I tried firing up.
But real quick, so we gotta go back to promoting you somewhere. So you want to promote the store? Do you have a work coming out that I should be aware of? This will air around May-ish, April, May-ish.
That I rely on.
So April, Mayish.
Actually draw lines. That was. But
We're hoping to start working
But anyway,
on a collection of short stories and artwork. The Wylde Wood is a collective. We'll start working about that point in time on a collection of short stories and images and maybe graphic novelettes on Baba Yaga.
Okay.
So we're going to be starting work on that about that point in time. I'm personally working on a book to come out this fall on trolls, because I love drawing trolls. And we've started, we're encouraging our artists, for instance, Tony Rodriguez. This is his wonderful work here. He's amazing.
Yes, he is.
He teaches for Opus, and he's also starting a class tomorrow up at New West Artists up in the next block by Renaissance Books. And we're here all the time, and we always have an interesting palette of changing small things we're doing.
Fair enough. So the name of the store is?
The Wylde Wood Collective.
Where is it?
So it is at 630 12th Street in New Westminster.
Okay, and how can people find you?
They can find us on Facebook. They can find us on Instagram. And you can't buy our work from a website, sadly, because we want people to come in and experience the work.
Okay.
Most of our artists also have websites and places that sell their work from their own websites, so that's kind of counterproductive. Here we often do days. We're starting artists in residence days, so that they can come in and have a section of the store. They can show how they actually produce what they make. Some of our artists, for instance, Tracy, we hope to have her coming in, and she also mudlarks and often makes beautiful pieces of jewelry with these historic finds. Some of them go back, 500 years, 600 years. So she's going to be doing a hands-on talk as soon as she can square out a section of time to do it. So follow us on Facebook. That's the best way to keep in touch with us.
The Wylde Wood on Facebook?
The Wylde Wood Collective on Facebook.
All right.
Yeah, I randomly talked forever there.
And that was my conversation with Melissa Mary Duncan, ladies and gentlemen. I'm kind of bittersweet that we got to the end of this. This is my last conversation from Vancouver while I was living there. And it was a great honor to have this opportunity to talk to Melissa, and I appreciate everything. It was definitely a great experience. And check out the Wylde Wood Collective when you are in town. It's a great shop. There's a lot of cool artists that have their wares there. But yeah, and Melissa's just amazing. Check out her art. Her art's incredible. MelissaMaryDuncan.com. Just an amazing talent. But if there's anything this interview reminds me of, is that, it's now or it's never. And that's been my philosophy since the pandemic started. My next book, Alice Zero, is now available for pre-order. August 25th, it will be out into the world. I got a lot in front of me for the next couple weeks, so I thought I'd talk about this. My audio business is going to start. So next week, you're going to start hearing ads for my audiobook business. I am thrilled beyond belief that I got this opportunity to start something this cool. But yeah, I've been recording my audiobook proper. I've been learning an awful lot about it. That's kind of where the Storytime podcast started. It was kind of a thought about the long term. But yeah, I'm looking forward to helping other creatives tell their own story. I wouldn't be doing a podcast like this if I wasn't a fan of the creative people doing creative things. It wouldn't be genuine. So this was a great week and an unexpected thrill. So Melissa, it was truly my pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you did too. Beyond that, like I said, Alice Zero is coming out. When Words Collides next week, I got 3 panels I'm doing, podcasting A to Z. I'm going to be focusing a lot more on Zoom, because Zoom seems to be a thing, at least for the next year or so. Zoom is probably going to be the way to go. I know next year the bubble will burst a little bit, and people will start intermingling more. To what degree remains to be seen, but Zoom is probably still going to be the go-to for at least another little while. So yeah, it'll be that. I'm going to be talking about freelancing. Some of what I'm talking about was in episode 400, which I encourage people to listen to. But I'm also going to go into greater details, talk about like some of my stories of some of the good things and the bad things that are happening, some of the pitches I'm doing now, what one of my pitches actually looks like. And why sometimes they work and why sometimes they don't. Outside of that, yeah, I also got my final one, which is advertising in the apocalypse, which I feel is a super important one. It's important to advertise yourself right now. Yeah, everything's kind of cratering, but that's part and parcel when things crater, people are always looking for what's still around. You need to be around right now. So this is why, for like starting next week, you're going to see some more ads and some more sponsorships and some pre-order stuff, and hopefully some more surprises to come. But for now, that'll do it for this episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so in a number of different ways. Subscribe to the podcast. I'm on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher. Hopefully I get to make an announcement soon about the next location of syndication. I did something really cool the other day, and I'm hoping to hear the word. Outside of that, buy my books. Alice Zero is available for pre-order right now. You can do so on Amazon. The link will be provided below. But I also got The Cloud Diver, my first novel. So you can definitely get a read of some of my stuff now and keep going. This is definitely the beginning of that arc, too. I have merchandise at jpantellaresco.redbubble.com. I have, my Facebook at Josh Pantellaresco Author Podcast, or my Twitter and Instagram is at jpantellaresco, and my YouTube channel is Joshua Pantellaresco. Click a subscribe. All my archived episodes are there, and some cool videos from time to time. All in all, guys, stay inspired, keep doing your thing, and thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this little extra bonus episode this week. Storytime comes out Sunday. All right, guys, take care.
Josh.